It was a Wednesday night.
A pearly white cake.
What's going on, guys? I appreciate y'all checking this out. I am sorry for them interrupting that introduction as I was trying to get it going, but hey, it is what it is. We're learning. We're figuring this out. Welcome back to All Things Horror. It's been a little bit of time since we've actually been able to fully release a video, but yeah, here we are. We're on a little bit of a different horror video here. I'm gonna let Drew speak and say the words that actually you want to hear about what it is. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna set it up. Go ahead, Drew. Take it over, man.
Hey, how y'all doing? So I chose this video by IMR Scary Tales. And it's 3 true Popeyes horror stories. I don't expect much, but I'm quite interested in the story, so I brought it up. Hopefully we can enjoy it all together.
All right. Bro, you want to say anything, buddy?
Buddy, man.
Man, buddy.
That guy over there.
Guy on the top screen just sitting there looking at us and judging just quietly.
Hey, man, I'm just ready to watch this Popeyes horror story, you know.
Oh, my God. The name.
I don't know how they going to make chicken scary.
The name alone. All right, let's just get into it. Story number
Scare me with this chicken.
Here we go.
I ain't scared of chicken.
It was a Wednesday night, late in September, and I'd just gotten in from a lengthy business trip. I arrived
His
home
eyes
to
are
find my
scary.
wife laid up in bed with a terrible migraine headache, and my children sitting on the couch, wrapped up in a heated game of trivia on the PlayStation. I stood there in silence, staring at the stove and listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator, trying to decide what to make for dinner. Cooking was the last thing I felt like doing. With my wife sick in bed and the kids getting along, I decided my best bet was just to run out and grab some food for the family. A handful of fast food joints was about our only choice. My daughter asked for chicken wings. I was up for anything as long as I could get everyone's food to the same place. So I decided to drive out to Popeyes, which was only 2 blocks away. I pulled into the parking lot, slipping my truck into one of the 3 remaining open parking spots.
That's 2 blocks away.
There were
homie.
12 spots in the little shared parking lot. That seemed pretty busy for a Wednesday night.
Man,
I got out from behind the wheel and
you
walked
ready to
into the
carry food
restaurant.
for 4 people back 2
When I
blocks?
stepped to the counter, the familiar face of a pretty young Asian woman smiled at me and said,
Welcome to Popeyes. May I take your order, sir?
I looked at the menu board hanging above and said, yeah, 2 ghost pepper wings, 3 beans and rice, 3 mashed potatoes, and 2 cinnamon apple pies,
Yo, I
Okay,
need to be
just
over
1
that
minute.
help
I'll get
right
the
now.
order.
she stated, slipping out of view into the kitchen
That sounds
behind
The
me.
whole family ready to eat
As
ghost
I
pepper
stood
wings?
waiting at the counter,
Shit.
I heard the front door
Yeah.
open behind me. An old woman, hunched at the shoulders with stringy white hair that hung loosely around her face, walked through the door.
That's just
She
a
wore
regular
white blouse
crackhead.
and dark
Yup,
slacks,
that's what I was
pulled
thinking,
high on
bro.
her waist and cinched tight over her belly button. Her face was pale, the skin wrinkled and matching the veiny flesh that pulled against long, bony fingers on her hands with creepy fingernails.
She got a baby
Her
dog.
eyes were sunken and dark.
That's what that stuff do
Hers
to
was a
you.
face I did not recall seeing before, but it wasn't her face that caught my attention. It was the baby doll she was cradling in her left arm. Nothing really out of the ordinary about it, just a regular, run-of-the-mill doll with plastic limbs and an all-plastic head sewn onto a stuffed torso. Absent any clothing, the torso was just a stained, rather dingy white color. It wasn't the talking type,
That don't
but
look
just a
like me.
standard, old, boring baby doll. And she was talking to it. Her eyeballs rolled in a very weird way as she started making funny faces at the doll, like what we do to make babies laugh. But in her case, The faces she was making could scare a child. Taking out her tongue while moving her hand over her nose, she was pulling off a freak show. I couldn't tell just what the old woman was saying to the doll as she stroked the plastic hair on its head with her long, pale finger. Her voice
Crackhead with
was lower than a
schizophrenia.
whisper, very raspy and completely inaudible. Her lips moved slowly, as did the hand that rubbed the toy's forehead. The whole thing was a little off-putting, but I've seen the horrible effects of dementia on the elderly, so I passed it off and turned my attention back to the counter. I was just in time to see the young woman come out from the kitchen with 2 large bags of food. I quickly paid for my carryout, exchanged parting pleasantries with the checkout clerk, and turned to leave the restaurant. As I began to pass the elderly woman, who still appeared to be comforting her doll, I stepped out toward my left to give her a little extra room. Grabbing the handle to the exit, I lurched backwards as the old woman's hand shot from the plastic toy's forehead and grabbed my forearm. With surprising strength, her cold fingers pressed into my skin. Her fingernails cut deep into my skin as she stared at me, blankly. I'd like to think I could have pulled away with ease, but I can't swear that to be true. Besides, even though the shock hadn't worn off yet, I had no desire to hurt the old woman. I turned to face her to see if maybe she needed help.
You ready to
I
rob
looked
you?
into those sunken eyes and
Crazy
asked,
crackhead attack.
Are you all right? Her eyes widened and her grip tightened. It began to hurt. She looked frightened.
You have to help us.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean.
Exactly.
She looked through the glass door and into the parking lot,
No.
like she was really scared for her life. I followed her gaze and looked toward the cars outside. Everything looked just as it did when I arrived. She looked back at me and whispered.
The black soul is outside.
She began to tremble.
The demon man. He is everywhere.
At this point, I was freaked out enough. Suddenly, she released her grip on my forearm and raised a frail finger toward the window. She pointed toward the vehicles in the lot and began to sob loudly.
Why are you coming to ruin my night, you know? Like, Lord.
I'm trying to figure out what county live. So I can stay
Ma'am.
away.
This is why you go through the
What's
drive-thru.
wrong with you?
Exactly.
She forced herself to speak again.
He brings death. Death is crawling all over everything.
At that moment, the door beside us opened, and an elderly man, sporting a neatly trimmed beard and leaning on a cane, stepped into the carryout. He moved forward slowly, taking the trembling woman's hand in his own before pulling it to his chest.
It's okay, Ruby. Stay calm. Everything is okay.
The gentleman then turned to me and then smiled warmly.
I'm sorry, young man. She becomes confused on occasion these days.
It's no trouble, sir, I replied, holding the door for the couple as he led her back into the parking lot. Heading out of the carryout myself, I kept one eye on the elderly pair's direction as I climbed into my pickup, setting the 2 bags of dinner in the passenger seat of the truck. I watched as the old man rubbed her shoulders gently, trying to soothe the frazzled woman, very much like she'd been doing with the baby doll. He spoke to her softly, but the old woman's head kept moving from side to side. She seemed to be searching the parking lot for something. A little unnerved and ready for a bellyful of Popeyes chicken, I began to back up, staring into the rearview mirror and finally taking my eyes off the couple. That's when the screaming started.
Don't make me go back in there.
As the old man tried to get her into his car, the old woman turned frantic. I felt bad for the old couple, the poor guy taking care of his ailing wife at this age. But the woman didn't stop. Somehow the old man put her into the car, but she kept on yelling.
The evil is everywhere in there.
Saying this, the woman twisted the doll's head and broke it into 2 pieces. That was enough for me. A cold chill ran down my spine as I turned the truck away and pulled onto the street, nearly clipping a beat-up old Ford as it sped recklessly into the carry-out parking lot. It took me 15 minutes to get home. We all finally ate and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep at all. Whenever I closed my eyes, I could just picture that creepy woman making faces at me, like she was doing to her doll.
No, not okay, no.
I woke up with a massive headache and went to the kitchen. My wife was setting breakfast for me at the table. I asked her how she was feeling now, and amidst this chit-chat, I casually turned on the news channel. But as the screen flashed, my eyes got stuck on the television.
Last night, an old man was found murdered in the parking lot of Popeyes food joint. He was found stabbed with a screwdriver to his neck inside his car with no one else around. After inquiring to the employees at Popeyes, the cops discovered the old man was trying to take an old lady home who seemed mentally unstable. They suspected the lady stabbed him in her poor mental state, but as they searched the house of this couple, a shocking revelation took place. The cops found the old lady in the house when they went to check the man's property. They also found a hidden room in the basement with chains, handcuffs, and other torture devices. It looks like this old man abducted his crush a long time ago and kept her captive in his house all these years. The torture and sickening treatment that were done to this woman for all these years took a toll on her mental health. When the cops took her to the station, she only said 3 spine-chilling words: "I'm free now." The FBI has taken over this investigation. They are trying to find out the true identity of this man and the woman. More on this will be provided with the unfolding of the ongoing investigation.
I dropped the coffee cup and it shattered into pieces. My wife came rushing, thinking I was about to get a heart attack or something. Couldn't blame her though, because as soon as I heard the news, my face turned pale. I couldn't even feel my legs for a few moments. I told my wife everything that happened last night at the Popeyes. Now it makes complete sense to me what the old woman was saying in there. She was talking about this old man who kept her prisoner for God knows how many years.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later.
With that said, yes, I did leave this video's link in the description of this live stream as well. If you definitely want to check it out, absolutely go to their channel and check this out. We're just watching it together. But that was story number 1. I want to have a discussion about this real quick. That right there is insane.
Yeah, it threw me off.
Yeah, that
threw me off. Wasn't ready.
Was not ready. We're sitting here making fun of this woman the whole time too. Like, yo, she was bad. Yeah, that's messed up, bro. But the thing is, I'm wondering, are these stories like actual, legitly events that has happened, like at Popeyes and all that stuff?
I really think, because these are labeled literally 3 true stories, and he has like all types of stories. So I'm thinking this is actually a real case.
And I also gotta give a shout out to the IMR Scary Tales as well for doing research and putting this together, and the animation. By the way, y'all are clutch on point with this. Yeah, 100%, man. That was a #1 story, it seems. But good lord, that was great, man. Well put together. I mean, Jesus, I feel bad. I feel real bad about how I was actually playing that out. Like, man. Legitly, even I thought that she had dementia and she was messing up. But nah, she was actually asking for help. But here's my question. If it was a young girl, right? Like, she was young. Would you have treated that differently?
What do you mean?
Like, she was old enough, right? Where she could have been actually losing her mind, right? Like, but if she was, like, say in her 20s and she came in the same manner, would you have approached it differently? You know what I'm saying? Like, we would have been all like, nah, she's a crackhead.
Crazy.
Conversation.
Crazy's crazy and crackhead's a crackhead.
Conversation from earlier.
Crazy's crazy and a crackhead's a crackhead.
This is fair, exactly. But it's sad because that's exactly how, that's my point. It was like, it wouldn't matter if she was old or not. If you come in and we automatically think, yo, no, that's a crackhead, then we're not going to actually listen to what you got to say, which is messed up, though, because she actually needed help, though, right? But you can't
but she didn't explain it well.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, duh, but she's also been captive for how many years?
They didn't say, but it was a lot.
And
of
all I'm
years.
saying, when the old dude came in there and started rubbing on her and walked her out calmly, think about it. If the person who was beating you up and torturing you for years just walks up, wouldn't you get to screaming and acting crazy?
Guys, if anybody's
You already
watching
crazy enough.
If you're watching the live stream and you see this on the channel, please leave your comments on this one because I absolutely want to see what y'all have to say about this.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's go to story 2.
Story 2.
All right.
What do you do?
Enjoy.
I am a dead woman. I have nothing to lose. I spend every night walking, hooded
Yeah, I know.
through alleys
I know.
so dark and
Things
dangerous
come back in full
they would
circle.
terrify
Weird.
the bravest people. My
came back
only
alive.
companion is a magnum that I keep in my
What we were
pocket,
talking about.
ready to
Oh,
be fired
nice choice.
at the person who ruined my life. I
Magnum
know
is mean.
that many will say I'm a terrible person, consumed by anger and revenge. But before you say anything about me, listen to my story.
Popeye story, right?
The day it all happened, I was
There
in
it
a
is.
particularly
No.
good mood. I had been working at Popeyes Fried Chicken for a few months, and that Friday I was on the night shift. I was the cashier, and I was only accompanied by Richard, the cook, and Blake, who was going to be cleaning the entire restaurant. The night was slow, and the restaurant was
I think I
empty,
know where this is
but
gonna
at
lead,
least
and I
we
don't
could
think I'm
chat
gonna
with
like it
each other
much.
without being busy. Everything was going more than fine until a strange man walked in. This man was very tall and imposing. His gray beard and hair were very long.
He looks like
His
that
small
character from
brown
Trying to
eyes
Plan
were
in my head.
lost in his long,
What was that
hard
character
face.
from? You know what I'm
But
talking
when
about.
I saw him, I was
Right.
struck by
Huh?
how full of hatred
Say
and
crackhead?
violence he was as he looked at us.
Everything with
The
you
man
is
walked
crackhead.
over and sat down at a table without asking for food. Instead of sitting facing
Why
the
is his
table,
head so long?
he turned his chair in our direction.
Why's his forehead
and
so
just
big?
stared
Look
at
at like he
us.
has like a really small, long
Okay,
head.
he is awkward.
Shut up. He's going to hear us.
Look how far away he is. There's no way that Grandpa will hear us.
What do we do? Should we approach him? Ask him what he wants?
Good idea. Let's ask him who he wants to kill first. Hell no. We serve here. If he wants to eat, let him come up and place his order like everyone else.
Ah, fuck it. I'll go ask him. The faster he eats, the faster he'll go.
Oh my god.
Blake whispered to me as he walked past me. Determined, I walked in the direction of this
Why are you
man.
so determined?
Even though I was
What?
only a few meters away, I felt like I had never walked so far in my life. My legs started to ache, and as I got closer to him, I felt an oppressive atmosphere and started to shake. Still, I spoke to him with all the professionalism I could muster at the time. Good evening, sir. Would you like to order something? His penetrating gaze met mine, and I felt myself getting overwhelmed. His lips began to move for the first time since he entered, and the firmness of his raspy voice left me paralyzed with fear.
No.
No problem, sir. When you're ready, just approach and let me know. After that little exchange of words, I was terrified.
They write books for
I wanted
sure,
to run
man.
with my coworkers, crying,
Yeah.
but I kept my composure. I felt like a lamb talking to a hungry tiger. This man was truly terrifying.
Rose, you're pale. What did he say to you?
Nothing. I asked him if he wanted to order anything, and he just said no. He gave me a really bad vibe.
Should I say something to him?
No, don't do that. Let's wait for him to leave.
Let's be ready to call the police. This gives me a bad feeling.
A few more
There you
minutes
go.
passed, and nothing had
Lot of
changed.
You always gotta have
The
lot of
man
them.
was still
Yeah,
staring
always
at
gotta
us,
have
watching our every
He's
move.
the first one to go because
Blake
logical.
had cleaned the bathrooms, but decided to stay nearby, just in case.
I mean, you
The
staring at
freezing
someone like that,
silence
though.
of the
in a
restaurant was
It's-
suddenly cut short as a group of 4 guys came in, laughing, and sat down at a table near the man. I've never
So
been
he's
so
turned his chair to
happy
look
to
at
see
them?
teenagers.
I know, right?
I kept glancing sideways at the man and saw how, for the first time, he stopped looking at us. His eyes went to the teenagers, who didn't even notice him.
Yeah.
The man stood up and sat down at their table, and they looked at him in shock.
What the fuck is he doing?
That's my
The
question.
man began to speak to the confused looks of the teenagers. It wasn't more than a few seconds before the man stood up and returned to his original position, looking at us again. Meanwhile, the teenagers were no longer laughing. They all looked at each other in confusion and, without saying a word, grabbed their things and left the restaurant.
Oh no.
No,
That's it.
Call
Blake,
cop.
stop it. You
That's
don't know
it.
what this man is capable of. Let's call the
Done,
police.
done.
Blake walked toward the man, and when he was
Why?
face to face with him, he spoke angrily.
Sir, we can tolerate you sitting there without ordering food, but you can't intimidate our customers like that. If you don't leave, I will be forced to...
Before Blake could finish the sentence, we heard a
Yeah.
loud explosion. Blake stopped talking, and with a blank stare, he touched his body until he found a huge hole in his chest and fell, instantly dead. The man was still sitting in his seat, looking at us, but now with a magnum in his hand.
No! Blake!
We both screamed, unable to believe what had just happened. The man got up, pointing the gun at us and walking in our direction. We both raised our hands in terror.
Don't move a muscle.
His raspy voice sounded calm, but determined. He went straight to the kitchen and stood next to Richard, who was crying in panic.
Please, sir, don't hurt me. Please don't hurt
Oh, he had it.
Without Richard being able to react, the man grabbed his head with enormous strength, lifted it up, and plunged it into the boiling oil.
No!
Richard's resistance ended only a few seconds after it began.
Run!
His body still moved a little reflexively, but he was already dead.
Run!
I took advantage of this distraction to run to the back exit, but suddenly I heard another gunshot noise and fell down. Something had stung me in my leg. But when I realized what had happened, the pain increased a lot and blood began to come out as a result of my bullet wound. Stunned, I watched from the floor as the man quickly moved to my side.
Why are you doing this to us?
I had nothing else to do.
Just because he had nothing else to do?
This goes back to the
This
conversation we had
man
earlier,
killed
too.
my two friends just out of boredom, awakened something in me. I looked at him with uncontainable anger and tried to get up, but I was kicked in the face.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
You still have plenty of energy. How about a game to decide if you survive?
Fuck you.
Without paying attention to me, he opened the barrel of his magnum and spun it around. After closing it, he quickly pointed it at my head and pulled the trigger. But the bullet didn't come out. My anger faded, and I covered my face in fear.
What the hell are you doing?
Again, he rotated the barrel of his gun and shot at me, but the bullet didn't come.
Stop it, you fucking psycho!
He turned the barrel one last time, but I was no longer willing to take another shot, so I quickly rushed toward him. Surprised by my advance, he fired quickly toward my head. This time, the bullet did go out. The fact that I had thrown myself against him saved my life. Due to the movement of my head, the bullet went through both cheeks of my face and back out. I fell back to the ground, bloodied.
It seems that Lady Luck is on your side, little girl.
The psycho pointed the gun at my head again. I no longer had the energy to defend myself. I had to accept my fate.
Bang.
The man said this with a small smile, but he didn't shoot. Satisfied, he turned around and left the restaurant through the back door. While stunned by the sound of gunfire, I heard many sirens and saw several policemen entering the restaurant, rescuing
Why is
me.
everybody so young?
The recovery was long and exhaustive. The doctors told me it was a miracle that I survived. The cost of doing so was very high, as the last bullet had gone through my face and taken out many teeth along the way. Eventually, my leg was able to recover, but my face was ruined forever. I didn't work anymore, and I never saw my friends or family again. I decided to live off my savings and bought a Magnum, similar to the one that man had. Today, I walk the streets near the Popeye, looking for that bastard who ruined my life. I know I'll find him, and when I do, I'll spin the barrel of my gun as he did with me, but I'll do it with all the bullets. I'm from a small...
Sorry about that. So that was actually pretty straightforward, honestly, on that one. The guy in the fryer kind of surprised me a bit. I knew that was probably going to be happening. You see it in horror movies, but I didn't expect someone to actually do that. This is real stories, bro. Oh my god.
Right?
Like, that thing is getting me right now. It's like, if someone actually legitimately fried a guy for Popeyes, like, that might throw me off from going to Popeyes and getting some fried chicken.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Right?
These are just kind of dark, man.
These are dark. I mean, it's terrifying if you're the person, if you think that these are actually legitimately real stories that actually happen. It's actually pretty fucking
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it G with you. I'd have called boys on them a long time ago if that was my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't my job, and as soon as he said something to them, and they all got up and left.
Oh, yeah, it's time to call it down. It's time to go. It's time to go. Yeah, you out. That's what I was saying, too. Like, no.
Then when he shot your boy, everybody put their hands up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, who was your boy? Because he had, like, perfect aim. You notice he wasn't missing no shots.
But with that said, he did walk up on him in point-blank range. It's kind of hard to miss that.
When the girl was running, he shot her in the back of the cab. Fall down.
I will give you that. He knew what he was doing. And obviously, he came in there because he was bored. And
Go back to the conversation we had.
And we'll have that conversation one day. Yeah, we actually have a lot of crazy conversations. Today was a little bit of a very thick thinker. But yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that conversation later. That was well done. I love the animation on that one too as well. The guy, what was the character the guy looked like with the drawing? He looked like a strung out version of one of those characters.
I don't know, but this
the Rob guy.
He looked like a human Squidbilly. That's what he looked like.
Perfect. We'll go with that. I concur, sir.
Yeah.
Story
number
3.
I mean small. Nothing much happened other than take your tractor to work day. I was a high school senior. We had all known each other since kindergarten. I could give you the first, middle, and last names of every kid in my class. The biggest thing to happen to our town was the day we got the Popeyes. The only reason we got one was that we were right off the highway, and people passing through would make up for our small population size. Needless to say, we were thrilled. It was a small outlet with nothing much of an inside, but at least it had a drive-thru. The building itself was stacked right next to a mall, so it had a tiny parking lot. The actual drive-thru was pinned against a brick wall. Once you were in line, you had no choice but to keep going. This was especially annoying when the people in front of you had long orders. The line could fit about 5 cars back to back, and it was always full. Let me just say, the Popeyes didn't last long. 8 months after it opened, it was shut down. I got to see the reason why firsthand. It was spring break. My mom and I were heading to the mall, which was almost an hour away. It was hot. I was the one who suggested we stop at the Popeyes before heading out. My mom didn't want to. She said it was a waste of money.
You might be represented for makeup.
Until she agreed. We pulled up to the drive-thru, and there were 4 cars ahead of us.
Wendy's coming through the Popeyes line.
My mom sighed, but got in line. 3 more cars pulled in back of us. We were all stuck like peas in a pod, sweating with the heat of the day.
Turn the AC on.
Cold. She rolled her eyes. Hawaiian punch? Yes, please. I pulled out my phone and Snapchatted some friends. Chilling with the mom, I typed as I snapped a pic of us. My mom laughed and pushed the phone away. Stop it. Suddenly, a loud bang filled the air. We looked at each other in surprise. Mom, was that a gunshot? No way. It was probably just a car backfiring. We sat in silence for the next few minutes. I think we both sensed something to change. Then the scream came. It was a man's. Instinctively, I stuck my head out the window to see what was going on. Because of how packed in we were against the buildings, we couldn't open our doors. But I was small enough that I could get half my body out the window to view the scene. There was a figure standing on the hood of a car. It was about 4 cars ahead of us. He wore a Grinch mask. In his hands was a gun. He had it pointed down toward the windshield.
Please, don't. Just let us go. Please, 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 please.
Someone inside the car was screaming, begging for help. My mother pulled me into the car right before the gun fired again, and then one more time. The windshield shattered, and it lit up the alley in fear.
We need to get out of here,
my mom said. She looked around wildly, knowing that we were blocked in. The cars behind us weren't moving, and neither were the
Back up,
cars
bitch. Get the
ahead.
car behind you.
None of
Why?
us could
Why are the
open
cars
the
behind you
doors.
not moving?
Are we going to die?
Yes.
My mom put the car in reverse
Absolutely.
and slammed on the gas. Because we
Thank
weren't
you.
moving, we couldn't get
Thank
enough
you.
speed. She struck the car behind her, which faltered but didn't move. My mom's
Oh,
panic.
Why are they not going?
She tried going forward, but the same thing happened. We could see the people in the other cars panicking as well. The woman in front of us was banging her door against the brick of the building, trying desperately
3
to climb
times.
through.
It doesn't work.
She managed to edge halfway out, but got stuck. The man in the Grinch mask calmly climbed over the car he had just shot
I'll leave
into
my comment.
and moved on to the next one. I watched in horror as he tapped on their windshield. There was a couple in the front seat. I could see them holding each other in dismay.
Roll down your window.
The masked man said, loudly. The seconds ticked by. People in the cars around us were screaming. My mom and I were quiet.
Roll it down now.
Nobody
The
backing
driver's
up.
side window slowly rolled down. We could hear a man's voice from inside.
Please, we have kids in the car. Don't hurt us. We are good people. Please.
The masked man leaned over toward the open window and shot the couple 2 times. Blood erupted from the car. Their windows were painted red. Now we could hear the cries of children. My mom grabbed my hand. She swallowed slowly. Get down. What? Get down, as far under the seat as possible. He may not see you.
But Mom!
My words were interrupted by a chorus of gunshots. The kids' cries ceased. Without another word, I folded myself into the space under the dashboard. I got as small as possible. My mom angled her purse next to me, nearly covering the spot I was in. She was breathing hard. A woman's voice was piercing the alleyway.
Why? Why are you doing this?
I realized
You
it
killed
must
her,
be the
by
woman
the way.
trying to get out of her car. She got stuck between her car and the wall.
I know it's not
I
funny.
shut
but
my eyes, trying not to picture her hanging
It's
there,
just
just waiting to
not
be
a
shot
complicated
down.
puzzle.
Even my mom looked away as the shot rang out. Blood sprayed. My mom braced herself against the steering wheel. She looked ahead as if entranced. I sobbed quietly. I could feel the man jump onto our car hood. His footsteps were loud right above us. I glanced toward my mother. She didn't dare look at me. The man peeked in from the open window of my mom's side. He then pointed the gun at her head. I couldn't see his real face, but I got the feeling he was smiling. My mom suddenly reached out and grabbed the gun. I nearly knocked my head against the dashboard in surprise. The man must have been surprised too, because the gun came easily out of his grip. She aimed upward and pulled the trigger. She shot him twice. Blood was dripping down the windshield and all over her clothes. The mask was covered in holes.
Fucking right.
She kept pulling the trigger.
You watched that Jackie
even
Chan?
though nothing came out. I breathed a huge sigh. I couldn't believe she had just done that.
Oh.
My mom, a small-town
so
housewife, just killed a murderer. But before I could crawl out, another pop sounded. It came from my side of the car. I watched in horror as blood sprinkled out the back of her skull. She fell forward onto the steering wheel, her nose on the horn. I slowly turned my head to my side of the car, where someone wearing a Barbie mask was peering down. She cocked her head to the side, surveying her work. She must not have seen me, because she disappeared. I felt her step off our car onto someone else's. I tried to breathe, but nothing came out. I stayed under the seat for nearly an hour. The police arrived within 20 minutes of the first shot, but I couldn't get myself to move. They only found me after using the jaws of life to open up the top of our car to pull my mom out. When the officer saw me, her face crumpled. She could see the fear still etched onto my face. I was the only survivor from the drive-thru. Altogether, 8 people were shot to death, including 3 kids under the age of 8. The man in the Grinch mask was later identified as a radical animal rights activist. They planned this event to protest against Popeyes for butchering chickens for their signature fried chicken. Despite their intent, no one who worked at Popeyes was injured. It was just those of us in line. They never found the other person. My mom died bravely, and I still cling to that. Never in my life would I have expected her to grab a gun from a crazed killer. She did it for me, to save me. There is one thing that still eats me up inside, because despite their horrible actions, all of the death and destruction those murderers caused, the event actually worked, at least for me. I know I will never go to a Popeyes again.
Pausing that, first off, I have words for this one. Wow, first off. One, let me say, I was so proud.
I think
I was so proud, and then immediately let down. I'm going to be honest with you. But I'm going to let you know who really killed everyone in that line. Except for the first one. The dumbasses in the back of the line that refused to back up.
And you know what, though? My thing is, when he jumped on that first car or the second car to kill the dude... Hold on. When he jumped on the first car or second car, the first thing I would have done, whether it was a little movement or no movement, is put that bitch either in reverse or go forward and make that nigga fall. Simple.
I understand that. Yeah, but here's the thing too. She's a couple cars back. She's ramming the motherfucker. Get the fuck out of my way. And that person's like, I don't want to know. No. Get going, man. You're in a firing line right now. Why are you going to wait your turn? This isn't freaking Six Flags. It ain't a
We'd have been on teams. We'd have been ramming together. I'd have been like, all right, I'm going to go straight back, then you come back and hit me.
Yeah. You ain't lying.
Boom. Come on, forward now.
You run back, you hit. I'm going to hit your car. We're going to have 2 car power. We're going to push that bitch out the way. They want to wait. They want to walk the fuck over here.
No. To be honest, if I was really that stuck, I would have knocked out the back windshield. I would have tried.
God, I hate being so loud right now. My God, I got me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I understand. No. I would have knocked out the back windshield at the very least.
That's another thing I didn't think about. Yeah. Why are you trying to break the glass to get out?
What about the little, trunk hatch thingy thing? Like, don't they still, like, come on, bro.
Definitely look like a sedan. And if it was a hatchback, even better.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
There was people that could have survived if they would have just crawled into their trunk, because they were looking for people that they could directly kill right there.
And you're blaming it on fear. Everybody was shook. When you actually backed up and you hit that car behind you, that person who shook should have woken the hell up out of it and realized what's going on to follow suit. If you're really worried about your car being scratched right now, I'm gonna fuck you up. That's the only thing I'm gonna say.
I'm mad no one noticed the other girl the whole time.
Yo, that's another thing I didn't even think of. Yeah, man.
Like, where did this random shooter bitch come from that wasn't there the whole time? Like, come on, son.
I was about to say, because that could have been his girlfriend who was in the car or because
she was in the car, she couldn't get out.
She did not come out until he died.
Right.
It was at the moment when she came and approached to finish the job.
But she was there at exactly when this nigga died. Like, she didn't like she was already out the car. Like,
right.
She was like had to be right there the whole time.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is they were walking besides the car, right?
No, they were jumping on the hoods. There was no room to walk beside the car.
You said that, right? But in the video, he said roll your car window down, and he rolled the car window down, and then he put the gun in the side of the car and then shot, right? So he was on the side of the cars.
And then here's the other.
And so was she through the other window.
Hold up. Yeah, I was about to say.
So there was room.
Story don't really add up.
No.
Hold up. She was only telling the story through her perspective and what she can see.
I give you that.
She might have not even seen that other girl because she was focused on this guy the whole time.
I mean, that's
so
fair.
the whole time she probably didn't even know the other person was there the whole time.
Dude, that's some straight purge shit though, man.
Yeah, that regardless, that was heavy. That was heavy, man. The kids dying and everything, man.
I'm going to be honest with you, looking at the screen right now, they have so much more, so I'm going to reach out to them and ensure the idea first if they're okay for us doing this a little bit further. But no,
what happened to Mama?
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, rest in peace, Mama. Yo, she was
a G.
She was
G.
I was so
R.I.P. She was out there like,
she was supposed to as a mom to protect her children.
We all was in here like, get his ass, Mama. Like, yo. Like, all of us, we all felt, then there was a moment of shock. Like, all of us was just like,
yes.
Complete disbelief.
Yo, she was the female version of John Wick. Yo, she went at it. Like, what? Oh my god.
Yo, she seen Rush Hour. Yo, she said,
yeah. It was awesome.
I wasn't in disbelief more than disappointed that she died after she fought for her daughter's life like that, and she just got shot in the back of it. Like, out of everything that. It's just the back of the head. Like,
I still blame the last person in that line that refused to back up. I honestly,
if I was her, I'd have kept ramming though. I ain't gonna stunt.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I was her as the girl that survived, I'm finding out who was in that back of that line. If you ain't dead.
I'm finding who was in that Barbie mask.
Yeah,
guaranteed. Guaranteed. You finna catch a few. You shot my mama.
Yeah, 100.
Like, you finna catch a few. You ready to catch more than a few.
100.
They already said everybody died.
Yeah, no, I remember that as soon as I said that because I was like, I
still gonna find a corpse, dig it up, salt it, and burn it.
Yeah, well, they were talking about everybody was dead in line. They didn't say anything about the Barbie girl. They said every victim was
dead. Yeah,
so the Barbie girl's still alive. And to be honest with you, she looked like she was young or portrayed to be young, so she might be in school with her all the time. How messed up would that be?
Barbie girl would have been found.
Yeah, yes, absolute.
Oh yeah.
Barbie girl would have got it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would.
Well, they probably didn't explain that in the Popeye story, did they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, they ain't gonna put that out there.
Yeah, but they ain't gonna put out how she became a cold-blooded murderer afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, 100% she became that, dude. There's no way
found her
didn't.
And beat her to death with various weapons.
She doesn't live like a normal life now. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
But even story number 2, if we go back to story number 2, that is the only one. Well, actually, besides her, that guy and the Barbie dog mask one got away, legitly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got away. So she's still hunting him. which I think is more of the story turning into a fiction than actual reality at that point in time, but it's still a good storyline. But because if you are, you're not going to publicly put it out there on any kind of platform.
And I'm kind of curious because she's supposed to be young. How you all here living off your savings?
That's what it's like. You work at Popeyes, first off. You ain't got no savings. You would arrest us. We check the check.
Danny, she had started at Popeyes. We don't know what she did or where she worked before. I know it can't. I know
we're delving so deep.
Yeah, we're going a little deep. It's a very solid thing. He's right.
We don't know what her career was. We don't know how much money she was making.
Right. You're right. I automatically assumed the idea that she was working at Popeyes, that she didn't have a savings account. 100% that's wrong. Because technically, she could have retired from her position and job at an early age and then decided wanted to do something.
Or parents.
The girl was like 20-something.
Or parents could have had money and opened up her saving account.
This is fair.
So she can get her life started.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which is why she's got a job at Popeyes as starting for her first job.
All right. I still want a Popeyes chicken sandwich.
And then when she came back in the hoodie with the gun, that's later on. So there's no telling who she robbed.
Well, she said
she said she didn't work no more. She said she didn't work no more. Didn't see her family, her friends.
Yeah,
said she went and bought her a blicky.
Yeah, but didn't see how she got the money though. She didn't specify how she got the money. She said all of her savings. All right, all her savings, but she didn't tell you how she got her savings. She could have been doing some really messed up things to get those savings through the time.
Correct.
I mean, she literally is. Why so serious? Look going on right now. Like, not to.
Yeah.
Don't come find me. I'm just saying.
Eyes was all sunken in. Yeah, man.
All right. So to wrap this up, Danny, what do you rate it?
Honestly, on a fear factor, this is actually up higher than it's been in a while. And the reason why is because I'm looking at these things as real stories. And this really happened, and putting yourself in a situation, that's very fearful. There's a lot of things you can do. We can always say that you can get around it, but when you're in the heat of the moment, some things happen, you lose your mindset. Like, these situations happening at Popeyes, especially when you're starting to work and you're trying to get things together, and especially when you're young, yeah, that's pretty freaking terrifying. Dude got his face melted away in a fry cooker. Like, you see that in movies, but if that happened in front of your face, man, that'd be freaking terrifying. 100%. So the fear factor is going to be up. I'm going to give the fear factor probably around 6.5 and all that, whatever. It's out of a 10, yeah, 6.5, 7 on that scenario, just because of the realist idea of this actually happening. The storyline, 10 out of 10, 100%. The narrators knew what they were doing. Whoever was explaining the story was absolutely a professional, 100% guaranteed. It kept me intrigued the whole entire ride. And the overall, did it keep me entertained? Absolutely, a 10 out of 10 on this one as well. We having a whole ass conversation about things and how we're going to find them. Yeah, we're invested. So, honestly, this is don't give this score out much, but for these 3 episodes put together as a whole, I'm going to give a 5 out of 5 on this one. I loved every bit of this. I know I've never given that score before, but I really appreciate everything down to the artistic style, to the storylines of how it's portrayed, and everything that came in between. Loved every bit of it. Good job.
Good job. All right. Real?
Hello, Clarice. But alright, check it. I enjoyed it. I didn't really find it too scary at all. Like, not to sound a little petty or fucked up about it, but shit happens. It was some terrible shit that took place there. Some wild ass shit. And it was like, whoa. But nothing actually scared me. And I honestly believe I could have got out of each and every last one of them situations. But
I feel you.
I'd have been gone. I'd have been gone. But for the most part, yeah, I enjoyed the story.
Okay. So what is overall rating for all 3 out of 5?
I give it a 3.5.
Out of 5? That's not. That's easy.
So, looking at it, of course, through my logical point of view, As a horror,
Lord,
it
Logic.
fits a horror. I know, Logic. As a horror, I give it about an 8 because, I mean, it falls under the horror. It is very stressful, scary situations to be in. So for those people that were victims, I mean, this had been a nightmare for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can understand. This is definitely horror. It actually, just thinking about the situations. I mean, this was just at Popeyes. There's all places that we all go to and every day, and we chill and do this, and this could happen anywhere. This really could just happen anywhere, and unfortunately, this happened at Popeyes. But overall, the story was good. I loved everything about it. Narration was on point. I give this a 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually enjoy these series. I hope we could do more of these series. I loved everything about it. Narrator's voice, the little eerie sounds, the stories themselves. It had me intrigued. So I'm definitely down for the long run. So that's my feedback.
Hurt mama died, and I'm hurt the guy had to be wearing a Grinch mask.
Yeah, I know. I was bad about that too.
Why he have to be the Grinch?
Man, he wasn't gonna be Santa Claus, I guess. Anyway, but so overall, from our combined efforts here, it's going to be a 13.5 out of 15. That is a solid score system there.
It is.
To be honest with you, that's a win all the way around. I hope that we can do more of these videos in the future. I hope that it's going to be a thing. I am looking over here at the list, and it's quite a good channel. Definitely check them out. If you don't know already, like I said before, their channel is in our description. Definitely check them out as well. But yeah, that is an amazing 3 stories to be told. But we are out of time, so I appreciate y'all checking our channel out. If you did like what you've seen, you like these ideas, let us know in the comments. Also, subscribe and go ahead and send us to your friends and all that, and let's get the channel blowing up. But until next time, y'all be safe, y'all be easy. Later.
Deuces.
Still at, hold up.